If you were the only person on earth, know that God would have sent Jesus just for you. That's how valued and loved you are. Jesus would have made the ultimate sacrifice just to save you. It's crucial to break free from the cycle of self-pity, complaining, and dwelling on negative aspects of your personality. Embrace the possibility of becoming a new person today. The best of your life is still ahead. Your dreams are valid and achievable. Remember, nothing is beyond reach for those who believe. If you truly embrace this belief, your life could transform dramatically in just one day. At the start of your day, before you even step on the ground of school, after you wake up, say out loud, "Today something good will happen to me." But don't stop there. Make it even more impactful by saying, "And I will make something good happen for someone else too." Expect good things for yourself and plan to spread positivity around you, because we are given blessings to share them. Don't just look for blessings for yourself. Remember, we are meant to pass on good things we receive. God promised Abraham that he would be blessed and become a source of blessing for others. Every morning, start your day by thanking God. Don't hurry out the door feeling stressed. Begin with a heart full of gratitude throughout your day. Think about God's promises and fill your mind with hopeful, positive thoughts. No matter how dark the night may seem, remember that the sun always rises and a new day brings new opportunities. Embrace the unknown. Your breakthrough is just around the corner. So, the next time you find yourself facing an insurmountable challenge, remember, your God always makes a new way. Our God can shape our circumstances to create opportunities for growth and transformation. When we trust in His plan and open ourselves to His guidance, new pathways appear before us. As said in Psalm chapter 23 verse 3, He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right path for His name's sake. This verse assures us that the Lord, our shepherd, will guide us along the right paths, leading us in ways that bring honor to His name and bring refreshment to our souls. These new ways may not always be obvious at first. They may require us to step out of our comfort zones, face our fears, and take leaps of faith. But with each step, we discover the immense power within us to overcome adversity and embrace the unknown. In Exodus chapter 3, Moses, a humble shepherd, encounters God through a burning bush. The Lord reveals His plan to deliver the Israelites from their slavery in Egypt and lead them to a land flowing with milk and honey. Moses is hesitant at first, questioning his own abilities and unsure of how the Israelites will respond. But the Lord assures Moses that He will be with him every step of the way. With the Lord's guidance, Moses boldly confronts Pharaoh, the powerful ruler of Egypt, and demands the release of the Israelites. Through a series of miraculous signs and wonders, including the 10 plagues, Pharaoh eventually relents and the Israelites are set free. As they leave Egypt, God's presence goes before them as a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, guiding their every move. When they come to the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army in pursuit, it seems like an impossible situation. But God instructs Moses to stretch out his hand over the sea, and miraculously the waters part, creating a dry path for the Israelites to cross safely. Throughout their journey, the Lord continues to guide and provide for the Israelites. When they face challenges such as hunger and thirst, God provides manna from heaven and water from a rock. At times, the Israelites struggle with faith and obedience, but Moses remains steadfast in his commitment to follow the Lord's guidance. He seeks God's wisdom when making decisions, intercedes for the people, and communicates God's instruction to them. Despite the hardships and obstacles they encounter in the wilderness, the Lord faithfully leads the Israelites towards the promised land. Eventually, after 40 years of wandering, they reach the borders of Canaan, the land flowing with milk and honey, just as God had promised. This story illustrates the importance of trusting in Lord's guidance and following His leading, even in the face of uncertainty and adversity. Moses demonstrates unwavering faith in God's promises, relying on His guidance at every step. The Lord's presence and guidance are evident throughout the entire journey, affirming that where the Lord guides, His faithful followers will willingly follow. Just as a seed breaks through the ground to reach the sunlight, our challenges can become catalysts for our personal growth. They can push us to develop resilience, determination, and unwavering faith. Our God is the master of transformation, and He works in mysterious ways to bring about our highest good. Sometimes, what appears as a roadblock is merely a detour leading us to an event more magnificent destination. Embrace the unknown with open arms, for within it lies the seeds of possibility. As we surrender to the divine plan, doors open and the windows of opportunities appear, guiding us towards our true purpose. As said in Isaiah chapter 30, verse 21, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." This verse reminds us that when we seek the Lord's guidance, He will direct our steps and speak to us, providing clear instructions on which path to follow. In Joshua chapter 3, Joshua, the successor of Moses, is leading the Israelites after their 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. They arrive at the banks of the Jordan River, a significant barrier standing between them and the promised land. The Jordan River is at flood stage, making it impossible for the Israelites to cross. However, Joshua instructs the people to consecrate themselves and prepare, for the Lord is about to do something amazing. As the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant step into the rushing waters, the river miraculously stops flowing, piling up in a heap upstream. The dry ground appears, creating a new way for the Israelites to pass through. The entire nation crosses over on dry land, witnessing the power and faithfulness of God. 12 stones are taken from the midst of Jordan River and set up as a memorial, reminding future generations of God's miraculous intervention. This story highlights God's ability to make a new way where there seems to be no way. The Jordan River, a seemingly insurmountable obstacle, is parted, allowing the Israelites to enter the promised land. It demonstrates that when God is leading His people, He can create pathways and solutions that surpass human understanding and capabilities. Furthermore, this event echoes the earlier account of the Israelites crossing the Red Sea during the Exodus of Egypt. Just as God made a way through the Red Sea, He now opens a new way through the Jordan River. It underscores the consistency of God's faithfulness and His willingness to provide a path for His people when they trust and follow Him. In this story, the Israelites witness firsthand that their God is a God who always makes a new way. When faced with impossible circumstances, He reveals His power and sovereignty, demonstrating that His plans and purpose will prevail. It serves as a reminder that no matter how daunting the obstacle may seem, we can trust in God's ability to make a way where there seems to be no way, leading us into His promises and fulfilling His divine plans for our lives. So, when life presents you with challenges, have faith and believe that your God will always make new ways for your growth. Trust the process, embrace change, and watch as your journey unfolds in magnificent ways you never could have imagined. Remember, my friend, that even in the darkest of nights, the dawn of a new day approaches. The universe conspires to support our growth, orchestrating the perfect circumstances for us to flourish. Invite God to repurpose any past injustices or wrongs into forces for good, potentially transforming them into catalysts that uplift others. Even if you find yourself in the darkest valley, perhaps grappling with profound loss or a sense of despair, remember that this moment could mark the inception of a remarkable journey. It's crucial to recognize the vastness of God's plan for you, understanding that no adversity is formidable enough to thwart His best for your life, provided you remain resolute in your pursuit and fulfill your role in His design. I encourage you to make a pivotal choice today. Refuse to live life feeling wounded and broken, regardless of the directions your life takes. Your choices, actions, and decisions. Remember that God has the transformative power to change your narrative. There might be stories of past hurts or failures, but God is ready to start a new chapter in your life. Embrace this new day. Feel God's revitalizing breath in your spirit and grasp His strength. Reignite your passion, and when you find yourself faltering, boldly declare, I am strong. By adopting this mindset, I believe and declare that you will find the endurance to run without tiring. God is rejuvenating your strength, enabling you to rise above challenges as effortlessly as eagles. Anticipate a renewal of health, courage, and vitality. While the world may let you down, God's reliability is steadfast. He will not disappoint or fail you. Echoing the words of St. Paul in Romans 15:30, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Him, so that you may overflow with hope. Embrace this divine promise, allowing it to fuel your journey forward with unshakable hope and boundless joy. God placed you on this earth with a unique and meaningful purpose, endowing you with a divine destiny filled with boundless potential. You are destined to receive blessings so vast that they cannot be contained, and the future holds God's favor for you beyond anything you can envision, as promised in His word. Belief in these possibilities is the first step towards turning them into reality. Remember, with God nothing is impossible. Dwelling on the past errors can hinder your hope for the future. It's time to stop fixating on your misstep. The Bible isn't a chronicle of flawless individuals. It's a narrative of human imperfection, illustrating that even those who faltered greatly, like Moses, can be used for monumental purposes. Let go of the guilt and shame of your past errors. You are a descendant of the divine, with the noble essence of heaven coursing through you. Stand tall, lift your head, and allow your smile to return. Live, think, and speak with the dignity of your divine lineage. Hope remains as long as you are willing to try again, love again, and pursue your goals anew. Dismissing hope is like closing the door on faith and God's potential to transform your life. No failure is too great, no past too dark for God's redemptive power. In God's eye, your past misdeeds are insignificant compared to His plan for you. Embrace this new beginning with courage and hope, knowing that with God, all things are possible. Many of you might be weighed down by a deep feeling of guilt, shame, a lack of self-esteem, feelings of unattractiveness, or feeling inadequate in various aspects of life. It's time to let go of these negative perceptions. No matter the obstacles, the duration of your struggle, or the size of challenge, remember that God remains sovereign. He has plans for your welfare, not for harm, to give you a hopeful future. God's greatness surpasses any difficulty you may encounter. Hold on to this truth and let it guide you towards a future filled with hope and realization of your dream. You might feel there is no tangible reason to hold on to hope. Your current situation might seem bleak. Recovery from an illness looks uncertain. Finding a companion seems impossible, or starting a business appears unattainable. It's crucial not to base your hope on shifting circumstances, unreliable people, or an unpredictable career path. Instead, place your hope in the Lord, the Creator, who brought the universe into being and scattered the stars across the heaven. When your hope is anchored in Him, the scriptures assure you that you won't face disappointment. God breathed life into you, graced you with favor, and clothed you in dignity, not for you to be weighed down by bitterness, doubt, or worry. He designed you to be rooted in hope, to step into each day anticipating His goodness, and to understand that the future holds more promises than the past. Maintain this perspective. No illness can conquer you. Any addiction is surmountable, and positive opportunities are on the horizon. Though you might encounter setbacks or unexpected challenges, these cannot derail your destiny. Even if the odds seem stacked against you, remember that the Almighty is in your corner. By clinging to hope, you invite God to work wonders in your life, surpassing your wildest dreams. These new ways may not always be obvious at first. They may require us to step out of our comfort zones, face our fears, and take leaps of faith. But with each step, we discover the immense power within us to overcome adversity and embrace the unknown. In Exodus chapter 3, Moses, a humble shepherd, encounters God through a burning bush. The Lord reveals His plan to deliver the Israelites from their slavery in Egypt and lead them to a land flowing with milk and honey. Moses is hesitant at first, questioning his own abilities and unsure of how the Israelites will respond. But the Lord assures Moses that He will be with him every step of the way. With the Lord's guidance, Moses boldly confronts Pharaoh, the powerful ruler of Egypt, and demands the release of the Israelites. Through a series of miraculous signs and wonders, including the 10 plagues, Pharaoh eventually relents and the Israelites are set free. As they leave Egypt, God's presence goes before them as a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, guiding their every move. When they come to the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army in pursuit, it seems like an impossible situation. But God instructs Moses to stretch out his hand over the sea, and miraculously, the waters part, creating a dry path for the Israelites to cross safely. Throughout their journey, the Lord continues to guide and provide for the Israelites. When they face challenges such as hunger and thirst, God provides manna from heaven and water from a rock. At times, the Israelites struggle with faith and obedience, but Moses remains steadfast in his commitment to follow the Lord's guidance. He seeks God's wisdom when making decisions, intercedes for the people, and communicates God's instruction to them. Despite the hardships and obstacles they encounter in the wilderness, the Lord faithfully leads the Israelites towards the promised land. Eventually, after 40 years of wandering, they reach the borders of Canaan, a land flowing with milk and honey, just as God had promised. This story illustrates the importance of trusting in Lord's guidance and following His leading, even in the face of uncertainty and adversity. Moses demonstrates unwavering faith in God's promises, relying on His guidance at every step. The Lord's presence and guidance are evident throughout the entire journey, affirming that where the Lord guides, His faithful followers will willingly follow. Just as a seed breaks through the ground to reach the sunlight, our challenges can become catalysts for our personal growth. They can push us to develop resilience, determination, and unwavering faith. Our God is the master of transformation, and He works in mysterious ways to bring about our highest good. Sometimes, what appears as a roadblock is merely a detour leading us to an event more magnificent destination. Embrace the unknown with open arms, for within it lies the seeds of possibility. As we surrender to the divine plan, doors open and the windows of opportunities appear, guiding us towards our true purpose. As said in Isaiah chapter 30, verse 21, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." This verse reminds us that when we seek the Lord's guidance, He will direct our steps and speak to us, providing clear instructions on which path to follow. In Joshua chapter 3, Joshua, the successor of Moses, is leading the Israelites after their 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. They arrive at the banks of the Jordan River, a significant barrier standing between them and the promised land. The Jordan River is at flood stage, making it impossible for the Israelites to cross. However, Joshua instructs the people to consecrate themselves and prepare, for the Lord is about to do something amazing.
We often focus too much on our limitations and forget about God's immense power. Remember, what's impossible for us is possible for God. Miracles don't occur because we admit our incapability. They happen when we trust that God can do the impossible. To witness miracles in our lives and in others, we must firmly believe in God's ability to act powerfully. If we don't believe in God's capacity to perform miracles, we are unlikely to see them happen. Let's have faith in God's miraculous power and anticipate extraordinary things in our lives. When we communicate with God daily, our question should be, God, what is your will for me today? What do you want me to accomplish? Instead of instructing God on how to solve issues, we should seek His guidance. We ought to look for His direction in overcoming challenges and realizing our ambitions, depending on His wisdom and guidance, rather than just sticking to our routines and expecting His endorsement. David, a character from Bible, serves as an excellent illustration of this principle. When he ascended to kingship and was faced with a conflict, he didn't just plunge into fray. Even with his extensive combat experience, he sought God's counsel first, asking, "Should I engage in this battle? Will you grant me victory?" This indicates that he didn't presume God's backing. He understood the importance of seeking God's perspective, not merely banking on his previous achievements. David's method teaches us the importance of soliciting God's direction before confronting challenges. It's imprudent to leap into situations assuming God's support. We should rather ask God, "What is your design? Should I confront this challenge directly, or should I step back and allow you to take the lead?" By doing this, we acknowledge our reliance on God's insight and might. When David received affirmation from God that he would triumph, he proceeded and achieved victory over the Philistines. His story encourages us to seek divine guidance in our everyday actions, ensuring we proceed with God's endorsement. If we adopt David's strategy and consult God before engaging in conflicts or making significant decisions, we can avoid much unnecessary hardships and sorrow. When God directs us onto a path, He equips us for the journey. However, He is not obliged to ensure success in endeavors that are not aligned with His will. Although God is compassionate and ready to aid, it is far preferable to seek His advice before embarking on significant ventures.
Discernment is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process of seeking to align our thoughts, desires, and actions with God's will. It requires a heart that is humble and surrendered to God, and a willingness to obey Him even when it may be difficult or uncomfortable. Discerning God's will is not always easy, as it can sometimes be confusing or even contradictory to our own desires or the expectations of others. However, it is essential to remember that God's will is always good, perfect, and pleasing, and it ultimately leads to our spiritual growth, joy, and fulfillment. As we seek to discern God's will, it is essential to avoid relying solely on our own understanding and wisdom, and instead to seek the guidance of the Holy Spirit, who helps us to understand God's plan and desires for us. Through a deepening relationship with God, we can gain clarity, direction, and peace in our decision making and live a life that honors and glorifies Him. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. Gideon was a man from the tribe of Manasseh who was called by God to lead the Israelites in battle against Midianites. At first, Gideon was unsure whether he had heard from God correctly, so he asked for a sign to confirm God's will. He placed a fleece of wool on the ground and asked God to make the fleece wet with dew while keeping the ground around it dry. God granted his request, and the fleece was wet while the ground was dry. Still uncertain, Gideon asked for another sign. This time he asked that the fleece be dry while the ground around it was wet. God granted his request again. Gideon was now certain that God was with him and that he was being called to lead the Israelites in battle. Through Gideon's story, we see that discerning God's will often requires patience, humility, and a willingness to seek confirmation. Gideon did not immediately rush into the battle, but instead sought confirmation from God through the two signs with the fleece. In doing so, he showed that he was willing to submit to God's will and follow his guidance. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. As you discern God's will, it is important to surrender your plans and desires to him. This means trusting that God's plan for your life is greater than your own and being willing to follow his lead even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. Aligning your purpose with God's will also involves living a life that is in accordance with his values and commands. This means seeking to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. It also means living a life that is characterized by humility, obedience, and service. When you align your purpose with God's will, you will find joy and fulfillment and a sense of purpose that can only come from living a life that is fully devoted to him.
When we believe that God has pre-arranged plan for our lives, life starts transforming from a series of random events into a purposeful journey crafted with intention. Every challenge we face takes on new meanings. Obstacles become stepping stones, strategically placed to guide us along the path laid out by a higher power. When we think that God has a plan for our lives, everything starts to make more sense. Life isn't just a random series of events, it's a journey with a purpose. Facing challenges becomes different when we believe in God's plan. It's like each problem is there to help us move forward, placed in our way for a reason. Trust becomes super important when we think about God's plan for us. We can go through all the ups and downs, knowing that every step is a part of bigger picture. Believing in God's plan brings comfort. Every person we meet, every opportunity we get, and every experience we have is like a piece of big, intricate puzzle. It is also said in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope." You know, when Paul said in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, that we are created to do good stuff already planned by God, and when David in Psalm 139 talked about how every single day of our lives way before we were ever born, it's like they were saying, hey, God's got it all figured out for us. So when you start believing that the big boss of the universe has already planned everything for you, it changes how you see things. You are not crossing your fingers, hoping things work out, or worrying about meeting the right folks or finding your purpose. You can trust that God's taken care of it all. All you have got to do is keep God at the top of your list. Give him the respect he deserves. And that's when you step into the awesome life he has laid out for you.